I think it's worth noting that I'm not really the biggest fan of The Lion King. Quite frankly, I think it's really just boring. So I'm not here to blow smoke and just tell you straight up that I loved it or I think it's a masterpiece or whatever, because everybody else says that. I don't. I guess because I'm a filthy contrarian, but honestly, I fell asleep to that movie twice when I was a kid, and I don't really remember much even watching it as an adult. But what I can tell you of animated Disney movies in particular is that they're very colorful, very well animated, and very expressive in every way possible. Even as someone as myself who really doesn't like musicals is starting to enjoy and appreciate the fact that musicals are very colorful, magical, and wonderful. And yet when you see the latest footage on The Lion King, well, it's so, oh god, what the why? And I'm not just gonna sit here and act like an angry nerd and just point and pout and act like I know everything about anything, because I really don't know anything about animation. But as someone who's consumed this sort of thing in the past several years, as many years as I've lived, probably about 57 years I'd say, man, I'm really kicking up 60 soon, I still love the art of animation just because it is so wonderful and so well thought out, and just, I guess it's very cliche to say, it's magic. I appreciate animation even if I'm not the person who's animating behind the scenes. I am a consumer only, and as a consumer, boy howdy do I love this stuff. Yet, with the new Lion King, not really. Don't really feel that magic. Not at all. In fact, I feel something more rigid and something more dead. This is essentially the rigor mortis of The Lion King. And again, I don't want to come off as a sort of angry nerd who has nothing to say except, you know, this is bad. I want to actually critique and talk to you about what I think about remakes in general, because Disney, well, they've gotten into an addiction that they can't seem to crawl themselves out of. And it's an addiction that really isn't working too well, but it pays. I guess. Holy shit, it really does pay. Why do you guys complain so much if you're the one who's watching it? The fuck is wrong with— Anyways, listen, there's nothing wrong with Disney remaking movies and making them live action. It's a very interesting approach, and it can definitely summon some creativity out of your mind. But honestly, when you're making a remake, don't you think that there's supposed to be some sort of new vision with that remake? You are remaking it. You're not just making the exact same thing. Look, I get it. They're making the same movie over again. It's just with new, prettier colors. Well, not really pretty, but they're just making it with a new, bold vision. And if that vision is bold, and if that vision has something to bring, something new for the audience, then it's definitely worth watching. But from what I've seen out of the new trailers coming out, it doesn't seem like there's a bold new vision behind this. It just seems like sort of treating the old source material as if it were something bad, something childish, and something that should be forgotten. And maybe Disney doesn't want to make it seem that way, but whenever I see these new trailers, that's just what I think immediately. And why is that? Is it because it sucks? I don't think so. I mean, yeah, something can suck and you'd still find appreciation or at least a little bit of love for the source material in that trailer or in that movie. But from what I see, it's like there's no love with it. Maybe from the voice actors there is some love because that singing from Donald Glover is fucking beautiful. It really, really is. But I can't say the same with the dull colors and the dull animation and the uninspired character designs, if you could even call it that. These posters are a grand example of what I mean. These are just lions. They're just lions. And I get it, yes, they're supposed to be lions. This is the fucking Lion King. There's lions. The whole cast is like lions and animals and stuff. I get it. But when you look at the old, when you look at the original, you can see actual character design. You can tell the difference between the female lions and the male lions. You can tell the difference between Mufasa and his brother. You can tell the difference between Simba and his brother. Wait, I mean his father. I told you I don't remember much, okay? I didn't really like the movie. Yeah, going back to this, you just see lions. Like something out of a zoo. Nothing really inspiring, nothing really that interesting, just boring lions. You know why? This is telling me that this is for kids. This whole movie was just for kids. This new movie is for the adults, those who grew up in the 90s, who grew up with this material and want something grown up. This movie, this remake is screaming, I am a 90-year-old man who is out of touch with the youth. I don't know why, but whoever runs this has lost the true spirit and magic that is Disney. I mean, you know, I guess you can be pessimistic and argue that the true magic lies within the whole money and them buying out literally every company and just ruling the whole world, but I'm just talking about the animation. All right, let's get away from the conspiracy theories. You have rigid bodies that can barely sing and can barely move. Why? Because they're animals. They are modeled after real life lions. And you know what real life lions can't do? This, that, you know? Like things a cartoon can do, which by the way, this is still a cartoon. Like, don't be deceived by the fact that this looks all grown up and it's like CG and super hyper realistic and all that stuff. It's still a cartoon nonetheless. Everybody's animated. I get it, maybe the backdrops are real life. I don't care. It's still a cartoon. Like, what the hell is wrong with you? Yet the producers aren't really taking advantage of that. Like, again, this scene is the perfect example. It is the Italian chef kiss of what I mean. This is stupid. It's supposed to represent Simba just being relaxed and just throwing away all of his worries, all of his responsibilities, and it's supposed to be him accepting the fact that he has nothing to do except just chill and relax. And then there's this colorful montage, this sequence of him just growing up, and it's wonderful. And you know how it looks like in the remake? It's just a lion and a meerkat and that thing, a boar, a wild boar, I don't know what these just animals prancing about, and it's so bad. When the oh my god, when the voice actor who was Donald Glover, when he's singing, you can see that the lion isn't really used to singing, because guess what, lions can't actually talk, and because it's rigged like a real life lion, it doesn't move its jaw that much. It is just, it is like a weird mannequin. It's like it's licking the top of its mouth for that peanut butter, like they used to do with old ass movies where they had talking dogs. It is so dumb. And the camera is so uninspired. There is no direction behind it at all. It is just flat camera, static shock. Static shock? What the fuck am I saying? Static shot. And it is static shot after static shot after static shock. It is the same thing over and over, and it is so boring. And I don't know why they did it this way. Remaking a movie is commonplace in Hollywood. It's to be expected nowadays, and it's foolish to think that it'll ever end, because that's just how the business has been since the beginning. And that's fine, in my opinion anyways. It opens up new ways for someone to explore a timeless classic like The Lion King, or to like put a spin on something that no one has ever thought of before. When the minds working on the remake deviate just far enough from the source material and make it a remake that is something of its own creation, something that can stand up on its own while still respecting what it used to be, then we can really expect something that can be cherished and loved by new generations. Though if those minds instead want to be safer and simply retell a story through a new lens of creativity, that's also fine. Then you're just introducing a new generation of people to something they'd otherwise never be aware of. Even if the film fails on either of these aspects of retelling this classic tale, the remake tends to remind you of what made the original so fantastic. But this is an arbitrary piece of shit. There is no direction, there is no actual inspiration, it's just going by the flow. And the arbitrariness comes from the fact that who cares? It's Lion King. Let's just do it. Why not? Who gives a shit? We're gonna remake everything and make money off of this. Because we can, and because they will. The one good thing that can be said about this remake is the fact that the fans who watched the original as kids with an unfiltered bias, the ones who grew up and are now working on animation and art these days, are now acknowledging the brilliance of the original. The colors, the shapes, the emotions, all of it evocative and with purpose. The remake is realistic, bland, dull, boring, and worst of all, it's not fooling anyone. By that I mean, it's supposed to emulate hyperrealism, but it's just not. And I'm still very weirded out by the fact that Disney somehow thinks that realism equals better than 2D animation, which is horseshit. Though I don't blame Disney for going this route. As I said, remakes are commonplace, and CGI is the new hit thing that people are getting better and better at with every new movie that abuses it. This is the obvious step forward with a remake of The Lion King. Sure, why not? Yet at some point, there was a loss of soul when it came to the development of CG. It's an odd trend with movies nowadays to make things as realistic as possible as to blend in with reality, to fool the audience and to make them wonder in awe whether they're looking at real life or at CG. Yet the thing I feel the people behind these movies don't really understand well is, honestly, nobody's getting fooled. Nobody will ever get fooled because we're not stupid. The human brain is great at identifying what's real and what's bullshit. This is bullshit, and this is real. Throughout the entire trailer, I just thought to myself how dreary everything looked, how dark the movie looked, how miserable and boring the environment looks. Is it because the film itself is a grittier, edgier movie than the original? I don't think so. I mean, look at this shot right here. Just you can see the bobbingness, the way that both of these characters, or rather both of these shots, they're both moving in such different ways. The animated movie is more joyous, more jovial, more animated. Oh my god, wow, it's like it's an animated movie. Yet the top one, it's trying to emulate realism, but it's sacrificing so much heart. The lightheartedness is still there, and the shot, I mean, it's still there too. But why is it so dreary? Well, because real life is boring, honestly. That's why movies are filtered with different colors, and that's why they're shot in different ways, to make it seem more colorful or to emphasize on a certain aspect of the story or whatever plot point they're trying to emphasize. Like this shot from this movie right here, which I'm gonna pull up and not really know what I'm talking about, but I know the movie and I know you know what this movie is, and it's perfect of what I'm talking about. Real life doesn't look like this. It doesn't have to look like this. It's a movie. They have to just exaggerate the detail. It's supposed to be very fun and very whimsical, and yet it's not. Why? Why would you do that? I don't know why. I'm legit asking, why would they do that? Because I don't get it. You've already spent millions of dollars making these fake ass lions look real as fuck, yet you're not putting that extra effort to actually make them look good. You know, they can look as real as they want, right? That doesn't necessarily mean that they look good or even better. They're nowhere near better. Now, I'm not saying that the film needs to lose the realistic approach. That's fine. I mean, that's okay. But the movie and the people working on it need to stop trying to fool the audience. There will never be a movie in this world that could ever truly fool their audience when a large video game cartoon cat is talking in front of the screen. A good example of this was when Avatar, like how that cast and the producers paraded around how beautiful and marvelous their CG tech was, yet in exchange for beautiful visuals and stunning CG, we were given a bland and boring film that nobody even remembers. This trend of realism over substance is a dangerous one, although it's not completely terrible. I mean, it can work. Maybe I'm just speaking on my own behalf, but the Detective Pikachu movie is a film that's shown how realism doesn't necessarily have to mean realistic. Yes, all of the Pokemon are designed to be as realistic as possible. We have real fur texture, realistic scales, crinkly skin, dull colors at some point. Yet, not once have I actually seen a loss of soul, because while the designs are updated for the more realistic setting that the movie takes place in, the makers of the film chose not to stray far from the original design. As ugly as some of them may look, you can still identify who they are. With some, they look exactly as they originally do. This translation actually works advantageously because it goes back to what I was saying. This is not a remake of a film, but it is a reimagining of a beloved franchise through a new creative lens. It is allowing people, both old and new to the series, to experience something they have never before seen on the big screen. It works because it's a new point of view, a fresh point of view, and not because it looks good, but because it's something we're interested in. Nobody is interested in a shot-for-shot, bland, boring remake of a film that looked prettier and more colorful 25 years ago. Everyone is far more interested in a film with an original story that is filled to the brim with colorful, albeit ugly looking monsters sometimes, that are portrayed in a way that has never been done before. In this sense, Detective Pikachu is a bold, bold film. And yet The Lion King struggles to be its own thing, to stand on its 2 feet, because it is currently adapting something that was already very beautiful, very pretty, trying to adapt that into a realistic setting while not having any sort of love for the original will always end up with just bland, utter bullshit. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see y'all next time. I love y'all so much. Goodbye.